Welcome back to the guide. This will be part 2, and we will be discussing FLIER optimization, partially touching in movement. I'll be referencing many FLIERs in this video, but we'll try to keep it to more direct playstyles like high damage or debuffers. There will also be a heavy influence on what is considered quote-unquote meta currently. Getting straight into the first example, I'd like to show you all one of my favorite FLIERs who I would consider to be the epitome of high damage. I'm sure many of you have guessed already, but it's Valmora, though this could easily be substituted with Angelic Warden. Valmora is what is called a glass cannon in video game terminology. There are other high damage dealers, but they don't quite encapsulate the concept of damage and nothing else. The idea is that you can still use the tips here as a starting ground for all damaged species, considering just how much Valmora represents this category. As Valmora, you'll come to the realization that it's a very easy to play, hard to master style of killing. Anyone can dive onto some unsuspecting tier 3 or lower and blow them up in record time. But you can expand this, going so far as to kill creatures that have a Wing Shredder. With Valmora, you need to adopt a sort of get in, get out playstyle. Essentially, engaging on your opponent so heavily that they can either run, and presumably die, or fight back, although it's futile. The reason I believe this to be a widely accepted concept with high damage FLIERs is due to the nature of getting caught out. The same as Valmora, you don't want to overextend with, let's say, Ainus. Unlike Valmora, Ainus has a higher health stat, but far lower movement stat. Instead of leveraging your speed, you leverage your health in order to kill other creatures. Traditionally, regardless of you picking either Valmora or Ainus, the goal is to damage your opponent so heavily that they start to panic. The worst thing you can do is pick a fight where your opponent merely turns around, ready to bury you 6 feet into the ground. The best case scenario as a damage dealer is your opponent not fighting back and instead running, of course. As much as I'd like to get footage regarding certain fighting styles, in this case with Valmora, I sat in multiple servers for 2 hours to no avail. Everyone either died immediately, logged, or wasn't worth the effort to kill. This does, however, show how strong Valmora is in the right hands. If, say, hypothetically you were to fight a Parahaxilian or Galtacron, anything in the tougher variety, there are strategies to kill them. I would suggest being sure to use your breath and get them on the ground, and then using shock area in order to hit them without being able to hit in return. This does go for other damage FLIERs as well, so grab with Ainus or Frost Breath with Umbraxi. Moving on to ailment-based playstyles, I had a hard time choosing who I wanted to play. That was until I remembered Oestryrus. By no means the best debuffer, I felt it would thoroughly showcase the category with a Tannenbaum and Pig Lantern. Not only that, but it has Keen Observer, so you'll all be able to see firsthand what effects my opponent has in the videos you see in the background. Generally, as Oa, I tend to be more cautious than I would with, say, Valmora. The reason being, your hits are far more detrimental given the time as opposed to a damage-based creature. Sure, Oa's damage isn't terrible, but bleed, burn, poison, and frostbite culminate and do loads of damage among other effects. If you can properly capitalize on what offensive/defensive effects you dish out, you're likely to win virtually any fight. This is one of the few creatures I actually bother killing tier 5s with. It's practical, and even if they log, which they usually do, I find it funny seeing all the VFX coming from their model.
Good night, girl. I'll see you tomorrow.
Like with the other suggestions I've made, this gameplay loop is a widely applicable process to anything with substantial poison, bleed, burn, any debuff really. I could suggest the likes of Quizzical, Levinet, Cuxina, and more. You may not kill your opponent as fast as you would when dealing upwards of 1,000 damage, but you're likely much safer. Oa even has Fortify, meaning if ever I feel things aren't going my way, I can Fortify and go heal. There's also just like Ghibli, which I don't think I need to explain Ghibli. Yeah, I mean, that's more or less what debuffers are about at the end of the day. As always, if you can stick to your opponent without getting hit, you'll be having a good time. This playstyle just offers a safer alternative when you aren't entirely confident in your ability to constantly apply pressure. Passive pressure, or what is currently being shown in the clip, is easy to manage, and if they lay down, you simply bite them to make them get back up. Not only are you reapplying the effects, but as with doing insane damage, they progressively get more stressed as the fight continues. To reiterate, you don't need OA Strivers to pull this off. I'm aware many of you don't have the luxury of role limiteds, which is why I expanded upon a broad list of potential picks in the previous guide. With this sort of playstyle, many creatures become viable as well. Karuku, while generally more defensive and ankle bitey, can become an offensive powerhouse when I put my pig lantern and cat plush on it. As a sort of final note, your success will vary widely depending on which debuff-oriented species you pick. OA tends to kill rather quickly due to it not lacking in regards to damage. Something like Levene, however, will have you spending ample time waiting for the 60 poison you gave your opponent to really kick their health bar. This isn't to say one is worse than the other, but the nuance can make a difference in certain situations. Moving on to our last topic, we're again going to talk about more sustainable flyers. Sustainable flyers are extremely hard to use and require the most skill out of all categories due to their... What is that music? Wait, no, turn it off. I'm trying to explain. Okay, listen. There's not a lot to these guys, depending on who you pick. I'm pretty sure I use like a maximum 7% of my brain when playing Ura. I'll be totally honest. That isn't to say we can't talk about them, however. Healthy flyers and or those with relative sustainability in fights are powerful. Ura, please nerf, aside, I'll again point to the likes of Karuku. Channeling 100% bleed block, defensive paralysis, it's going to take a coordinated effort to kill you. I can recall at least 100 times that I've been terrorizing Oasis and a group of flyers starts chasing me. What exactly are they gonna do? Every time as Ura and Karuku would just get away. It's baffling how the game balance works. Now, this isn't to say that the stat team is doing their jobs incorrectly. It's more just the game itself catering towards those who can go in, do whatever they please, and then leave as if the world around them doesn't exist. Especially with Ura, mind you. I mean, the thing has 10% base health regen, and it has heal pulse. If you truly do want tips on creatures like these, it's more about picking your fights than any of the other categories. Obviously, this should be a conscious decision regardless. But unlike with Valmora or Oa, for example, your kit is far more stat checky, a term coined from League. If you have better stats as a whole, you can turn your brain off and press mouse 1. Wait, are we talking about Karathos or Ura here? I'm reading the script back and I genuinely can't tell anymore. Yes, while there is some charm to playing Pyro from TF2 and Creatures of Sonaria, I can't guarantee it will keep you plenty entertained. I talked about debuffers being a safer playstyle, but this category has to be the absolute peak of not dying. Ever. No, I'm not kidding. Just look at these stats that I have. I'm on pace to get 1,000 kills in 14 hours and I've taken 500,000 damage casually. I'd suggest the same of Fentaris, but this video isn't about what flyers fit where. I suppose the real trouble of playing these types of flyers is knowing your limits, being able to leave when you're supposed to. Having the knowledge and wherewithal to exit a bad situation, or better yet, prevent them in the first place, means you'll never struggle. Wow, that was a lot, but it was intended to be. Friendly reminder that when we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll be hosting a 50,000 mush giveaway for you all. As many of you might notice, it took me longer to get this video out. Not only did I want to ensure the quality was good, but that I played each category as I talked about them in order to better inform you all how I find success. As always, thank you for watching to the end. If you made it here, comment Ura my beloved below. Bye for now.